Okay, good evening. This is a meeting of the Milford Finance Committee. It's December 10th, 2025. First item on the agenda is the approval of the prior minutes, which were circulated.
Motion.
A motion by Al to approve the minutes, seconded by Brant. We have folks on Zoom, so roll call. David?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
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 Lauren?
Yes.
Mike?
Abstain, not present.
Okay. Nick?
Yes.
Okay, so that's unanimous with an abstention by Mike Nicholson. Next item is invitation to speak. Hearing none. The next item is the town investments.
Is that a ritual?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good evening, folks. For Leanne's benefit, could everyone identify themselves?
So Christopher Pillar, Treasurer Collector for the Town of Milford.
Brian Jamrose from Bartholomew and Company.
Kathleen Saganowitz from Bartholomew and Company.
So, thank you again for having us in. I know we were in front of you guys last December as well.
Good show.
We're going to provide probably a brief overview of how the markets did, how our accounts are doing. We're going to focus on stabilization in OPEB. The trust funds are the trust funds. They're not really relevant to what you guys are looking for. I just wanted to remind the board that our OPEB trust, we're at a 25% stock in private equity allocation and 75% bond and fixed asset.
And just for everyone's benefit, OPEB stands for,
Other post-employment benefits.
so these are for retiree benefits. This is the funding. Okay, 25 stocks and 75% in bonds.
Yeah.
It was the same last year, Chris, wasn't it, more or less?
25.
70-30.
70%
Stocks.
in stocks, 30% in bonds.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And that was the same as it was last year, wasn't it, more or
Yeah,
less?
these haven't, this hasn't changed since 2018. And then for our stabilization, that's more of a savings account, so we are more in bonds, and that is 85% and 15%.
Is that for both short-term and long-term?
Yes, it's all one, it's short-term, long-term. The now two stabilization accounts, or, excuse me, two enterprise accounts, it's all wrapped into one.
So you account for, are they invested together, but you account for them separately?
Correct.
Yes. Yep.
And the 85% is stocks?
Bonds.
Bonds.
Bonds, I'm sorry, okay.
And the 15% are stocks, and they're on the legal list under Mass General Law.
Okay, so just to refresh everyone, we discussed this briefly last year. There's a state law that limits the types of investments that we can partake in, which not only, my recollection is not only limits it generally to stocks or equities and bonds, but also specific types, right? Like,
Correct.
there can't be just any stocks. It has to be certain publicly traded stocks or bank stocks or some of the like. And there's limitations on alternatives besides stocks and bonds, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I...
Yeah, so on, for the stabilization type monies, that falls under Chapter 4454, and that only allows the 22 companies on the equities for the legal list. It's individual stocks and bonds.
That's for the stabilization.
Stabilization.
And so investments like real estate, commodities, precious metals, they're all prohibited.
Correct.
Okay. And how is OPEB different, if at all?
So OPEB's different because that falls under Chapter 203C, and that invests like the world can invest. It opens it up, except for Bitcoin and penny stock. We're in municipal funds. You want to do that personally, go ahead, but we don't do that with municipal funds.
Okay, and so before we go into details, can we just, at a high level, what we have for approximate balances for these three sections?
Yep. So for the OPEB account, you have, and this was as of June 30th, 2025, was $12,688,826. Now, as of 11/30, that actually jumped up to $13,383,000.
Chris, the 13 million, what percentage of our OPEB liability does that cover?
So our OPEB liability, we just got the audit back a month ago, and that was roughly around 88, 89 million. So,
So technically, we could be on the hook for $90 million, and we funded 13 million of it. How does that compare to towns around us?
these guys would probably have a better answer to
just
that.
gut
but
feel, you know.
It depends on the town. More, some towns are fully funded, some towns are not funded at all. There is a general law out there that you're supposed to fund it each year, but that's the first thing that usually gets cut when we're going through budgets. Even for the town of Milford, for the longest time, we were 600,000. We dropped it down to $100,000 last year. So
You drop what down to 100,000?
OPEB, the
The
OPEB
annual,
budget.
the annual
Yeah.
contribution.
Yeah.
This is not subject to the multi-year actuarial analysis and contributions like we do with the pensions generally?
It does get an actuary analysis every 2
Okay, but didn't we have a pension audit done a few years ago that went out to like 2037, and it said we have to,
That's the retirement. That gets done annually,
Right.
and that also needs to get funded as well. But that's an appropriation that's funded to the Milford Retirement contribution.
but those annual contributions with respect to the pension were to get us to a certain percent funding, if I recall.
Yes.
But we don't have a similar obligation with respect to OPEB? I mean, he's shaking his head no.
Yeah, not at this time from a state perspective, but
Right.
from a town
From a
perspective.
town perspective, we do, but from a state, we don't.
What do you mean from a town perspective?
If everybody was to retire at once, we'd be obligated to pay their insurance. We'd have to come up with,
How is that 90 million determined? Is that like all of the
So they-
current and future?
It sure is.
it's a whole,
There's a lot of controversy over the whole thing, but I would just say it's kind of funny.
yeah, he's right. So an actuary comes in, pulls all our payrolls, pulls all the retiree payrolls, comes out to the life expectancy, adds in inflation, adds in market value, adds in other factors that I have no clue what they're doing to it, and they come up with this liability.
Because I don't know what that 90 million means. Does that mean the liabilities between now and the year 2100?
Yeah, so the best way to, if you want a good explanation, I would call your actuary and give you a quick rundown of all the details. I say quick, it's not quick. Hold on, you're going to be.
Could you give us a rundown in English?
Sure, I'll give you the best version. So what they're doing is they're calculating, they're mathematicians. Your actuaries are just mathematicians running out numbers. And they're looking at your OPEB liabilities, and this is the sins of the past, if you will, right? All the employees that have retired already that hasn't been funded along the way. They have this OPEB liability, so you have to pay them for the health and dental until they're pass. So they really want to fully fund that OPEB liability, that 90,000 that you have.
90 million.
I'm sorry, 90 million, excuse me.
Who's counting?
Who's counting? Sorry, I have a long day, I apologize. I woke up at 5. But anyways, that 90 million, and you're about 15% funded, which is about right in line with a lot of the communities as being good. Your actuary, which will give you, they haven't come out with the updated numbers, but they'll give you, every January, they do it through numbers through December, they'll give you your percentage against your peers, and that hasn't been updated yet, but we can get that number through your actuary.
I'm just
How you
curious.
compare to the other communities, that is.
You gonna say something, Paul?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to the whole discussion of it. This is for the health insurance, right? So this is specifically like health and dental for retirees. They want you to put all that money in a basket today that's gonna fund that expense ad infinitum, basically. But the twist is, we currently cover all those expenses with our general fund expenditures and budgets annually. So we currently pay everyone who's here and retired. We have active and retirees that all are getting their insurance paid out of our current fund.
We're on a pay-as-you-go system.
And we've never had a problem with it. So this is something, that's why it's a kind of a little bit of a controversial subject matter, because it's we cover these expenses already, we're already making all those allocations within our current operating budgets, but now we want you to put 90 million so that the revenue that 90 million would generate, that income, will cover the $3 million of expense until whenever, for every generation that comes in.
But it's just like Social Security. It's pay as you
Well,
go.
not quite.
So are you talking about the $16 million line item in our annual budget for health insurance? Are you saying that the
A
OPEB's,
piece of that,
a piece of that is the OPEB?
Yes.
well, one of the applications in that is OPEB, but it's also the expenses for health insurance on that line is covering all our retiree health insurance, retiree.
Current employees and retirees,
Yes,
yeah.
current and retiree, so all those expenses, and that's why there's controversy whether or not this is more of a, I don't even know what you'd want to call it.
Do we have any idea what percentage of that?
It's called an Enron, that's what it is. I mean, what's the, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's what it is to me. What is the, like, my question would be, what's a disaster trigger that says the 90 million is due? Is there one? Probably not.
There's nothing, no, so there's no mandate. I don't know if I'm
Right,
answering the
so-
question. There's no mandate that you have to have that 90.
So it's a bogus liability. It's a bogus liability of $90 million that someone came up with. And just to put my 2 cents in a little bit, actuary is going to turn into AI pretty soon anyway, so it's just, you know, it's just a bogus number.
Well, I think a fair way to ask the question would be, how much of the 16 million or whatever it is in health insurance that we're paying annually is attributable to the retirees? Does anybody know the answer to that question?
It's in the budgets that we hand out monthly. If you look at the detail of it, one of the lines is broken down. So it's broken down for active and retirees. And so you can see that actually in the budgeting format.
I mean, under a best-case scenario, I guess your investment returns from OPEB would cover the annual cost. I have no idea if we're anywhere near that or not,
Well,
but,
we won't be now, but eventually we would be. But we already, it's an expense we already cover.
okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. The concern,
You opened up the camel's tent there, so.
No, that's good.
It's a fair question.
So the other part of his question was, what do we have in stabilization? And as of 11/30, we had,
there you go.
we had $54,298,490.
That's both
That's your
short-term and long-term?
short-term, long-term, water, sewer, and your two municipal property and liability claims.
Well, before we start asking questions that may be answered by those papers, is there
Yep,
anything
we're
that
gonna
we
pass
wanna-
those out.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I just, I'm sorry, I just want to add, is that liability on our financials anywhere, though? Do we,
Yes.
how do we disclose it? How do we disclose that? Do we give it a disclosure on our financials?
You do. Yeah, so before 2017, it was considered a footnote on your balance sheet. Now it's part of your unfunded liability. As it
You're showing that amount as an unfunded liability.
is. I'm not the actual. Listen, don't shoot the messenger here.
David, I assume this is all covered by the GAS, the Generally Accepted Auditing Standards
Yeah,
for
but
the
just-
for government.
yes.
Yeah, GASB has really, yeah.
So just for someone to look at it and say, wow, but it's not really a.
But if you really want a good education of all of that, who is your actuary? Is it Parker?
So
or
it's
is it-
Odyssey Advisors, which is Parker Elmore. He's our actuary for the OPEB account.
Yeah, but he's going to speak in actuaries.
No, actually, no.
He
So
doesn't actually. Yeah.
I'm on the finance committee in my hometown, Sutton, and he came out and did a presentation. Layman's terms, pretty simple, straightforward, asked all the questions that you all have.
We should bring him up.
I would highly
You
recommend.
should, he's great. yeah.
He's
Is
great.
this the same person that does the pension? No, two different people.
So pension,
We can't kill two birds
PERAC
with one
handles
stone.
that. That's all separate through the state. We can hire who we want as our actuary. We've used Odyssey since inception of 2011. is when
Okay,
we started
so
with that.
you just provided a number a minute ago. Can you break down what the short and long-term current
Yeah,
balances
so
are?
your short term, your short term is 34,175,000.
You sure that's not the long-term?
Huh?
You mean the long-term?
So short term is just our regular stabilization. Long term stabilization is what we call our capital one, has, you can't see this, 6,019,000.
Well, I mean, something, you're confusing an old man. We had our stabilization account.
So you're getting confused with short-term, long-term. Forget about short-term, long-term.
Okay.
You have a capital stabilization, which is, you consider your short-term, and then you have your stabilization, which
Okay,
is your
so the
long-term.
capital is 6
Don't-
million.
Yeah. Your capital is 6 million.
Stabilization
It's
is
34.
34, that makes more
And then
sense.
the remaining is all within.
Sewer and
municipal-
water?
Municipal property, liability claims, sewer, and now water.
Because how big is water? 32 cents?
Where we just funded the 1 what was it, 1.5? we did?
Okay, so I mean, before it was 0.
Correct.
Okay, so let me stop there before they start circulating. Does anybody want to ask any questions so
Can we
far?
run through those numbers just one more time, because the third one then would be 14 million? You went 34 and 6, so the remainder is 14.
Total was 54.
So we got 12.6 in OPEB,
Right?
and then what
The
is it?
stabilization was 54.
54.3.
So there's 4
Yeah, we also-
Stabilization can't be 54 because it's 6 plus 34.
Oh, that, they did,
Well, that's why
Scott,
we're
you're
asking.
right.
That's exactly what we're asking.
Go ahead.
There's 7 accounts within the whole 54.
Okay.
Okay?
Why don't you just lay them out, Chris?
Yeah, jeez, you guys are killing me here. All right, so your municipal property, 4.3. Your liability claims, 2.5.
Those are the other pieces, those two.
Your liability claims for dental, 42,000. Your stabilization, 36.8 million. Sewer stabilization, 1.85. Long-term, which is your capital, 6.492. And general fund right now, 2.1. And then we just added the 1.5 for your water enterprise.
1.5. We just
That
did
makes
that
more
town meeting, I
sense.
thought. Town meeting, we just did that, right?
In October.
Okay, back to you guys.
So with that, they can give you a market update now.
So would you prefer us to give a market update and the bottom line numbers for the stabilization OPEB and keep it super high level?
Why don't you start there?
Okay. So your stabilization, is that okay through the chair?
Al,
Is that okay?
that's
Okay.
fine.
Sure.
Stabilization, year-to-date, you're up at 5.94. Your equities are up 13%. Let's see, your annualized return since 2001 was 3.05. That is very restricted, very conservative. It's meant to keep above inflation and above the best money markets and CDs net of fees. Why? Because it's stabilization. Plus, it's restricted to the legal list, and it's restricted to how much equity you can take, because when the equity markets in 2020 was down 34%, that's when you would need the stabilization the most. You don't want to have your stabilization money's down 34%, or at least the equity portion in there, when you need it the most. So that's number one. For the OPEB, that's a 70-30 mix with private markets, 13% private markets, which falls under the alternative sleeve. That is up 12.24 year-to-date through 11/30, with a annualized return of 6.85, annualized return since 2011. When we first started this account, it wasn't always a 70-30, and it didn't have private markets. Not until later in the 2018, thank you, do you have that? Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. The account started initially as a 60-40, and then we added it up the 70-30 and 11/29 of 2024. And then the private credit, real estate, all that, we added in 24 and 25, okay? So that's the high level. Any questions on that? Okay. Do you want me to go into more
I
detail?
want to get some paper.
Okay, well, that's why I asked. Okay.
Can I just, are those numbers benchmarked against anything?
They are, and it's a great question.
Thank you, appreciate that.
The problem is, we ran these reports yesterday, and we realized on the way here, the benchmarks did not print properly. So I have.
Stabilization's right.
What's that?
Stabilization's right.
Stabilization's correct, yeah. Let's go start with that. On the OPEB, because we had to close out these accounts and reopen them, there was a breach in the town, so we want to make sure that we didn't, not with us, but there was a breach in the town with cybercrime a year ago plus.
Oh, yeah.
So what we had to do, we just take full security measures, and what we did was we opened new accounts. So with that happening, it created a slight problem when we went to go print benchmarks, because we had to create a group, because we wanted to create benchmarks from when it first started.
Right.
So unfortunately, I cannot show you those tonight, but I can give Chris the updated one properly. I apologize. I've been
No,
on
that's
the
fine,
road.
the numbers sound good, that's why it
Okay.
sounds reasonable.
Like, we do normally give benchmarks, David, 100%. I just didn't see it until I this morning, when I was on the road. Okay, stabilization, once you received it all. Do you want me to do stabilization, you do OPEB? Okay. I'll do stabilization, then I'll turn it over to Kathleen to do OPEB. Okay. I'm going to go through this, I'll try to go through this, I'll wait until you're done. Okay. Let's just go to page 2 of 13. 2 of 13, on the stabilization.
Okay, got it, thank you.
So let's start with stabilization. These numbers are as of 11/30. Page 2 of 13, you're going to see current yield. The current yield is at 2.93, but don't get too worried. That's not all your return. When you're dealing with the bank, which we're not, all you would get is a current yield. All set? So let's turn to let's keep going to page 4 of 13. I'll bounce around a little bit. 4 of 13, on 85% of this portfolio, you have fixed income. Under the yield to maturity is currently at 3.79, so we're buying things at a discount, and when they mature, they get a realized gain. With that said, the average yield to maturity is at 3.79. The average duration is at 2.28. You can see that on the right-hand side of page 4 of 13. Duration means time, so we're going to hold on to that fixed income at almost 3.80 for a little over 2 years. Well, what's nice is the Fed has lowered the rates 3 times as of today in the last 3 months, and so we're going to hold on to that stabilization money rates longer. In your money market accounts, if this was in a money market account, what would happen is the banks would have an emergency meeting and drop the rate tomorrow, because that's how that operates. But the good news is you're going to hold on to those rates longer. This does have equity exposure of 15%. But before I go to that, I just want to take your eyes to the left of that page, page 4. So the total cost of the bonds at this collectively were $43,017,505, and they're going to mature out at par value at $44,590. So the difference or the delta of that would be your realized gain at maturity, okay?
What does the average duration reflect? Is that the maturity of the bonds?
Yes.
What's the tip? Are you buying long-term or short-term?
Yeah, so go ahead, you want to?
Yeah, about as long as we would go at this point, I would say no longer than 6 years. So on average, it's that 2, so we're shorter.
That's when they're maturing, so you're turning all the time.
Exactly, yeah, so they'll look at the whole, ladder. And so on this, the treasuries are a little bit shorter, the corporate bonds are a little bit longer, and it brings you kind of to that average, yeah.
And on a declining interest rate environment, we're going to take a longer duration. In a rising interest rate environment, we're going to take a shorter duration, so we can reinvest as it goes up, okay?
Right.
Okay, let's go to page, page 7. Take a look at the last year on the top, domestic equity. 99% of your 15% falls under domestic equity. In the last year, which is 12 trailing months, which means that was from 12/1 through 11/30. Remember, the last part of last year was a down market, and the beginning part of last year was a down market. So the average return on the equity was a 6.01. The last 3 years on the equity has been 7.73, and the last 5 years, 11.42. You can ignore that since inception. That's not right. That got wonky with the 2 classes I told you about because your accounts were compromised. Not your accounts here, but the accounts in general.
Town in general.
The town in general was compromised, so we had to get new accounts. So we'll get those numbers refreshed, but all those other numbers are correct, okay? The international equity, you only have less than a quarter of 1% in international, which is Unilever, 1 position. So, okay, let's bring it home to page 8 of 13. 8 of 13, the last 3 years, 2023, 4.51, 2024, 509, and for the first 11 months of this year, it's at 594. You see that under portfolio return? Well, it's not very exciting, but this is your stabilization account. It's still better than money markets right now. Remember, 12 months to 18 months ago, Mr. Pillow was able to get in money market accounts somewhere between 4 and 5.5%. Well, the Fed has lowered the rates 1.75, almost to 175 basis points, or 1.75 down. So now he's lucky to see somewhere between, well, I say in general, but 2 to almost 4%. So it's all come down. So this is
Four is a
pretty
good number.
What's that?
4 is a good number.
I know, right?
Bobby, we have one account left at 4.
And that's
Everything
it.
everything else is floating around the 3%, 3.25%.
Sounds about right. yeah.
And that 4% is most likely, is at MMDT, and they have a 90-day, they're buying 90-day corporate paper or 89-day corporate paper. So it's just a matter of time. So, okay? So with an average duration of a little over 2 years, we're going to hold on to those higher rates. You know, if you've been around a while, you know, it doesn't feel like much.
Why are you looking at me when you say that? I'm kidding.
If you've been around a while like myself, I've been in banking since 1992. I remember when the rates were much greater. Is that fair? You just engaged earlier, that's why I looked at you.
That's all.
Okay. Any questions on any of that? That's the high level. The next few pages are all your securities.
I have a question on
Yes.
page 9, if you don't mind.
9?
Real quickly, yeah.
Yes.
On portfolio holdings, could you go, just explain to me on the column titles on the top? For example, Bank of America, I understand symbol, quantity, price. That's today's price?
That's the value, that is the value as of, or the price as of 11/30.
11:30, okay. Value, I get that, percent as of. Estimated tax cost.
Has nothing to do with you because you're a municipal entity.
Okay.
But I will tell you it's your principal plus your income.
Okay.
And, did I miss that?
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, when you say estimated annual income, it's $17,064.
That is just on the dividend income. It's
That's
not
just
on the
dividends.
appreciation of
Okay. How about the
value.
growth?
It's not, nothing to do with that.
Where do you see that?
You'll see that on the bottom, the difference or the delta between principal and your value. So your principal total is, you purchased these at $4,052,000. It's now worth $7.3 million.
Okay,
So the delta of that is your unrealized gain.
got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're not in the NASDAQ, though.
You're restricted by Mass General law,
I
sorry.
understand.
Can I
Thank you.
just piggyback off of that? Because it looks like the hold periods are long. I mean, is there like, what's your MO for like
What are you looking at?
the whole purchase date?
Oh, the whole
You're talking about the
periods.
holding period?
The purchase date is like, they're all like 18, 19. I just didn't know like how often you turn these over.
I can answer.
Yeah, Kathleen can answer that.
So with the legal list of investments, this is the list that it's been for a million years. And so we can't, because we can only buy 22 stocks, unless something catastrophic happens or the investment team really thinks we should sell out of one. For example, we sold out of GE when they cut their dividend. They were restructuring all of that. But this is the list, so we don't really turn anything over because there's so much concentration risk already, unless there was something that we thought was a kind of a big problem. What I will say is what the investment team does is they try as best as they can to manage the sectors to the S&P 500. It's not perfect. You'll see you don't have any technology in this account because we can't buy that.
I mean, I think there's like some opportunity costs may be lost in this just because, you know, if you have a list, I mean, I don't know how many list of equities you can choose from.
This is it.
22, that's it.
And these are the only
That's
22?
it, yes.
That's it.
Oh, you don't have any more of these 22?
No, that's why I'm,
all right.
yeah.
Don't blame us. This is the
Oh,
Massachusetts.
this is it? Oh, this is, all
This
right.
is
Yeah.
the state statute.
That's the state statute, these are the 22?
Friends stock high.
Oh, I
And
see.
just remember, this is the initial purchase price. That doesn't mean we haven't purchased additional.
All right, I get it now.
Sorry.
it's the date.
Talk to your
No,
legislators.
that answers it, it just, I hope,
Yeah, it's 22 stocks.
so it's not, so there's no heavy lifting in this then?
No.
All right, so
couple
how's the
of-
admin fee doing then?
Couple of dogs in there.
Yeah, I know.
No, it was
I
like
know.
the admin fee, I mean, there's not a lot of it transactional cost.
Oh, so we understand that. We don't charge, you have, I don't know if you can find a better price. We understand. So you're currently paying 16 basis points for all your annual fee. I don't think you would find that anywhere else. If you were privately, you're looking at 1%.
We lost 1%, okay, we lost 1% then, yeah.
So you're at 60, so 1% equals 100 basis
16%,
points.
yeah, 100% I got
You're
there.
at 16 base, I don't know what you know or don't know, I apologize. I'm just making sure everybody understands.
1/6 of 1%.
Right. yeah.
Yep, and 16 basis points. That's pretty good. So, yeah, we honor that, we respect that. And we understand, we could charge more, but we understand what work we do and give that benefit back to the towns.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it looks like you haven't purchased anything since '21.
Well, that's the initial purchase,
Right,
but that doesn't mean we didn't add to it.
right, but you haven't purchased, because you got a couple of what I would consider underperformers in here. Who looks at that, and who makes the decision to sell and purchase an additional stock?
Well, first of all, we can't go outside of the 22 companies.
Understood.
Okay.
Yeah,
So with that, it's very limited.
understood. Again, my question is, who looks at this, who monitors this and says, hey, look, I'll just pull in Southern Company.
Sure.
Okay, that's really underperforming, and would be better for you in Duke Energy. Who looks at this and monitors it?
Yeah,
and makes
good
a
question.
decision, sell and buy different?
So we have an internal investment management team that looks at these every day.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Kathleen mentioned, was it Wells Fargo?
GE?
No, the other one.
Wells Fargo, too.
So Kathleen mentioned GE, but one weekend, I don't know if you remember, Wells Fargo, the president was doing some interesting practices with falsifying documentation to boost up the year-end bonuses. And so we caught wind of that over the weekend, and so Monday morning, we liquidated that, and we don't have them anymore. So we're looking at it on a regular basis. Not me or Kathleen, but Kathleen used to be part of that team.
They look a little stale, some of these, that's all.
Welcome to the legal list.
You have no choice. It is what it is. Either
yeah.
you get out of it and we're less than 22 and all the concentration goes up, or we stay in
Exactly.
the 22.
So let's talk about OPEB, and that gets more exciting, and we can we actually do some work. Is that fair?
We'll go to OPEB, move on.
I mean, I don't want to shorten it, but I'm just,
No.
it's the legal list.
Yep.
I did tell one group one time early on in my career, I said, I don't really like the legal list. And they said, oh, we do. It's been great returns. Come to find out, they didn't understand that they weren't on the legal list.
Not good.
Okay. Anyways, the list hasn't really changed. Okay, so OPEB, other post-employment benefit. I had a 92-year-old guy said, that's wrong, it's called old people employment benefits. But that was a 92-year-old guy who said it. Okay, Kathleen's going to go over that, so I'll turn that over to Kathleen. Did you give everybody one? Yeah.
You can hear me on this. Okay. All right, OPEB, Brian gave me, this one's more fun, for sure. So like Brian said, just to reiterate, here we can invest in the whole investable universe. So this is a fully diversified portfolio. You can kind of visually see that on page 2. Not helpful for online, but I'll dig into some of it. But here we have domestic equities, international equities, domestic and international bonds, and some alternative investments, which is that private equity, real estate, private credit. So a really balanced portfolio. As Brian said, it's 70-30, so 70% in equities, 30% in bonds. And Brian went over some of the numbers on page 3, but just again from a high level, since 2011, this portfolio has annualized, so year over year, net of fees, 6.85%. So this is the page. Page 4 is really where we'll send an updated one in terms of showing you some benchmarks. But you can see from the year-to-date perspective, this portfolio is up 12.24%. On the one-year perspective, just under 10%. 3-year, 11.26. So the market, if you can tell by those numbers, the market has been doing exceptionally well. I think we've been saying for 3 years, we've been thinking about recession, and that has not come to fruition yet, right? So the Federal Reserve is doing everything, that they can to monitor that and keep an eye on inflation, keep an eye on the labor market, starting to see maybe some issues there. But with OPEB, to this whole discussion about this liability, which will change, but let's call it 90 million, this has a long way to go, right? And so our perspective when we manage this is keep the long term in mind. 70% in equity, is fairly aggressive, but it should be, because this is, sometimes we say it's like a child investing. It has to grow, and it can withstand some of those market cycles. So on page 5, you can see exactly that. Very different from the stabilization, but that left column, the portfolio return, all of these calendar years, again, you'll be up double digits some years, down double digits in a year like 2022, which I know we talked about last year, but that was the Russia and Ukraine crisis. Caused the market to collapse, essentially.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I see little or nothing here in terms of hard assets, and I'm just curious as to your thoughts on that. I mean, I look at copper, uranium, precious metals over the past
Yeah.
year, they're all going crazy. I don't really see anything.
Yeah, so that is in the alternative bucket. You have, it's the 5th one down, so it is a small allocation, I will say that. The American Beacon Managed Futures, that's kind of your commodities bucket. So all of those things will be in there. It is a small percentage, but that is, I know some of the names, they don't tell you very much in the description, but that's one that, that's your oils, your coppers, things like that. And sometimes we have, we've had gold in the past. We've gotten rid of that.
May have gotten rid of it at the wrong time.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I know we should have had it for a little while, but we got rid of it at a good time. But yeah, I mean, and there's currencies in here sometimes. So this is really where, to Brian's point, the investment team makes a lot more active decisions. For example, this is new. I haven't been doing this since 1992. I wasn't alive yet, but we haven't seen, even in me doing this, international equities have not outperformed domestic in a long time. And so, sorry, I didn't mean to derail with I had to. We were just talking about this. I had to. So international equities have always underperformed domestic for a very, very long time. And so this year, the best performer actually has been international equities, finally. So we've gotten the comment, like, oh, this, you have a lot of international equity, you have a lot of international equity. And we've been kind of building that up over the past few years. And finally, we've been right. So that's worked out. So this is, I say all that, I don't, not to get into the weeds, but this is really where the investment team is in there looking and saying, what makes sense? Should we buy longer treasuries right now because rates are going down? And should we buy private equity because that's such a huge part of the market now? What will benefit these OPEB portfolios in the long term? So I'll pause there because I know there's probably questions.
I think you're good for the moment. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, really, just jumping back to page 5, just quickly. Again, your benchmarks aren't perfect, but you can see the past few years have been exceptional. And like I said, we've been expecting a little bit of a market downturn today, with the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates. The market was up quite a bit. We'll see how the next few years go, but from a high level, you've had, I think we feel pretty good about the market. The economy and the market are two separate things. That's what we kind of always say. And so earnings, if you look at the S&P 500 companies, over 80% of them have had earnings higher than expected. So companies are still, again, at least those very, very large ones, are still doing quite well. So we'll see. It's very data dependent. The Federal Reserve today said they're a little cautious about some of the data coming out. So we'll see. And then really everything else, page 6 and 7, as I touched on, these are all of your holdings in this account. So typically we use mutual funds and ETFs just for the diversification perspective that you don't get on something like the legal list.
What are these numbers going across on the last column on page 5? So like Bloomberg 1 to 3 month U.S. Treasury bills, what's the 1.53 at the bottom? That can't be the yield.
So don't look at any of that because the benchmarks didn't print right because.
Oh, okay.
We'll resend Chris
Okay.
the appropriate updated benchmark.
I will ignore that, okay.
I mean, to answer your question, though, it is, It is the,
Return.
it is the
Yeah.
return since,
That's supposed to be the 1 to 3 month U.S. Treasury yield.
it's the Bloomberg US government credit 1 to 3
is
It
years.
would be
that-
corporates and treasuries, yeah.
Is that supposed to be the average over the last 15 years? What is the one?
That is the average since 2011.
Ah, I see, okay.
And then you have inflation next to that. I mean, that's a good metric. Obviously, you want this to grow above and beyond inflation, but that since 2011, on average, inflation has been about 2.5%. So some context there.
Yeah, not as good as the normals. Any questions on any of that?
David?
I have a question was outside of the box. It's just, how often do you do check-ins with Chris, and like, what's that process like of, is it a monthly check-in, how we doing, or could we be doing better type of thing?
So I have a relationship with both Brian and Kathleen that if I wanted or needed anything, I could pick up the phone and call. But they do a quarterly review.
It's quarterly, okay.
We do then we do a yearly review, clearly after the end of the fiscal year. But if something comes up in between, I can always call them. And that's the same with all our banks, for the most part, the relationships that we have with our account managers. If I need something, I can pick up the phone and call, but usually they're checking in on a monthly basis, if not a quarterly basis. And if you just have like one more minute, they manage all this money, the stabilization on that. We also have our general fund money, which we kind of alluded to a little bit before that, which is like all the money that we do for our operation accounts, all the tax money we're taking in. So with that, I do manage that on a monthly basis and always doing that. Before, probably at the beginning of the year, if I was sitting in here, I would be saying, great, things are great, money markets, all our accounts are up above the 4. Well, that started to change about April, May timeframe. So I shifted the strategy. I started putting stuff into 6-9-month CDs. So now those are coming due at the higher rates that were right around the 4.25, 4.5. So some of them, if I can push it out to 9, I'm still getting that 4%. And some of these accounts we haven't touched since we've opened them, so I'm able to do that. So we are still paying attention to the general fund money too, to get the most out of that. So it's not just some letting that sit in a,
Because you had said earlier the general fund was like $2 million or something like that. I thought that's what.
no, that's just in this account. The general fund money in, for overall for the town is about 30 million. So on a given basis, you know, they manage the other, we have about 106 million total. So without our operating, which is our AP and our payroll accounts, there's about 30 million left, where I have probably about 15 to 18 different banks where I'm either in a CD for 5 million or so, or $1 million here, and they're all spread out.
Chris?
And we're
sorry.
continually monitoring that. But just recently, I heard from one of them where we do have a chunk of money of $8 million. She's like, I can't do anything, your rate's gonna drop below 3. It is what it is. So I gotta take it with a grain of salt, or I gotta move it.
Are you restricted, Chris, as to what banking institutions you can deposit money in?
They have to have an establishment in the Commonwealth.
Oh, okay.
And
So
we-
Wi-Fi banks are out of the question, or internet?
Yeah, no.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And we had talked briefly last year about the potential FDIC exposure. I think you were telling us about how the money is being
Yeah, so.
dispersed throughout to mitigate that
So someone just
risk.
asked me that. I think Bobby asked me that when we came in on his.
Sweet.
On his condominium association. So all that general fund money, as you know, FDIC covers up to $250,000. Anything after that, a lot of times banks usually, they had the depository insurance or they did collateralization. Year or two ago, they introduced this new program called IntraFi, and what that does is it takes whatever you have in an account. So say if you have $1 million, it keeps the 250 in that one bank. So we'll say Unibank, and then Unibank will then put it out. The remaining 750 will go to 3 different other banks that will max out at the 250. So the money is always insured.
Right.
So it's protecting you from what happened out in
Silicon Valley Bank, yeah.
So that's new. The interest rates have been great there too. We're not seeing a decrease in interest rates. They've been fairly simple, fairly similar to that, so it's another protection we do.
And those banks are allowed to be outside the state, as long as the bank that you're primarily doing business with is local here. And that's okay from an audit standpoint.
Right, and there is an ability, an option, if I choose to, I can say, do not put it in such and such bank. So, at any given time, I can exclude one if I wanted to.
And he may do that because he already has money there, and say, hey, don't put it there because I already have $250,000 there.
So,
Anyone have any other questions?
I'd just like to make a comment that I think this is a great exercise that you began with, Mr. Chairman, last year, and I would think that everyone here and online would agree with me when we say we should make it an annual event. You folks do a wonderful job. You speak at a level that I think everyone understands, so thank you for coming tonight, and great job.
We appreciate you. You've been a client of ours since, 25 years, and we appreciate your business, continued business, and partnership, and if you need anything from us, please let us know. We
Does the
work for
town
you.
of Sutton use this on your,
We do. We have about 80% of the cities and towns in Mass.
do you?
We do. We deal with over 300 and, I don't know now, 50
Yeah.
municipal entities. Call it 330, I'll be conservative. 330 municipal entities. I haven't done the count in a while.
It's 85%.
But it does, well, that's municipal entities, but it represents, we deal with 80% of the municipal cities and towns, because we may deal with a school district. So that's not a city or town, but 80%. So we're very thankful. Part of the success is we hired 23 years ago a former municipal employee, and ever since, they married the municipal experience with the investment experience, and then we've always had treasurers on staff. So we can, before we make any changes or adjustments to any part of the team, we always bounce or blink test it with them to say, hey, how's this going to impact municipal accounting, or how's this going to impact the law, the municipality. So we're not just making changes without your understanding. So thank you, we appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
just one more thing, if you don't have to wait a year to, if you have a question about something or you want, you can just come in and see me. Always have these on hand, not just for this, for general fund as well, so you don't have to wait.
Mike has a question.
Raise his hand.
Michael?
I'd just like to ask a copy of all of the documents distributed tonight, either be emailed to the Zoom participants or as a minimum be an attachment to the minutes, which are supposed to be anyway. But we would like to have access to those documents.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I know it's going to be a year and people's memories will fade, but if there's any way to get these electronically to the committee ahead of the meeting,
I have them, I can get them electronically for you.
to circulate them before the meeting for the benefit of the people on Zoom. Thank you for that comment,
Do we
Mike.
have my attachment back, my handout?
No,
Why?
wasn't for you.
Paul, do you have a
Was that
copy?
yours?
I've had that.
Do you need a copy of this? You have it.
Oh, that was yours? He took it?
Oh, you took it?
I thought that was part of my stuff.
You gave it to us last year.
I know that, I remember.
You can have it back.
I mean, it's top secret shouldn't mean anything at the top of the page here, you know? We're not just-
Thank you, have a great holiday, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Carry everywhere you go. Carry everywhere you go.
Yeah, well, I say,
Did that 50 years ago or no?
28.
Bobby's used to having stuff on stone tablets.
Well, this one's going to be a lot less complicated by far. Mike, Warren, and Nick, I don't know if you got a copy of this account detail sheet. Hopefully you did.
Did we?
I thought you circulated it,
I
but
sent you,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did send it
we
out.
got it by email.
anything I get from you
I'm more
guys,
efficient than I thought. All right.
So the reason, just as part of general education for people, the reason I wanted to do this little segment is we get these reports from Paul every month. And on the left-hand side, there's something called account number that's got about 25 numbers on it. It's mind-numbing. And so I thought it might be useful for people to just understand what these different groups of numbers are and what they really need to be focused on. So let me turn it over to you, Tom.
Absolutely. So everybody sees the main printout on the front page, and as I go through it, I'll explain the detail in the next couple of pages. But basically, where this numbering sequence comes from, it comes from the Mass General laws. They set the parameters behind what you assign, what departments are assigned, and whatnot. So I'll go through that in a minute. But this is a good exercise, especially for Nick and Sean, who are looking at a lot of these reports for the first time.
Right.
So I'll go through them, and I just arbitrarily picked one at the very top. And it's actually a select board account, just happens that. But when you're looking at the sequence of these numbers, there's 5 before you get your first dot. And that 5 numbers represent the fund. And I'll say 1,000 instead of 10, 20, 30,000, but all your 1,000 accounts are what you see in the monthly reports that I send out. They're the general fund accounts. When you see the 2,200 accounts, those are all school lunch accounts, and there's usually just 1 or 2 where it gives you a total amount of their total fund. So that comes out of 22. 23 is all your highway improvement Chapter 90 accounts. So when I have to report on the Chapter 90 projects that are going on, major streets, roads, bridges, but, well, yes, we do. Just finished one. All those accounts will be labeled in the 2,300 accounts, okay? 2,400 are all department revolving accounts that we use. 2,500, when you see it, 25690, that would be a state or federal grants that we set up. We get award letters, whether it's from the federal or the state. We set them up using all 2,500 accounts. So anytime you look at a report and it says 25 with 3 other digits, that's either a state or federal grant. Now, you'll also see 2,600 accounts. Those 2,600 accounts will be special revenue accounts where people donate, they give gifts. We send any of them into our 2,600 accounts. And again, these are just the overall funding accounts. We'll get into the actual department accounts in a second. Your 3,000, that's all your education. So when you look at the school reports I send out, they always start with 3,000, 31,000, 38 something. Those are all education accounts, okay? 4,000 accounts. Those are your special project and capital accounts. We've got 5 or 6 with the water company that we inherited, and those are all your 4,000 accounts, okay? So some of them reports that you get, if you look at the bottom of them, you'll see them broken out. Then obviously our 6,000 is our sewer department, and 6,500 is our most recent water company. So when I send out the water company monthly report, their enterprise funds, you'll see all your sewer accounts are 4,000, all your water company accounts are 6,000 and 6,500.
So let me stop you there. Each month, Paul forwards us to us, and there's one section, I think it's expenses, is the title. Does that include all of these funds, or is it mainly just the
Yeah, just your expense.
10,000?
Yes, just your, that's right.
It's just the
Mainly
10
what I send out to you guys is mostly general fund
The
reports.
general fund?
Yes.
So just so everybody understands, those monthly reports we get, there's a little world out there that we're not necessarily seeing on a month-to-month basis, like, for example, highway improvement, the Chapter 90 money. That's not reflected in those monthly reports. The monthly reports are primarily the general
And I
fund.
believe I can generate a few of them too, Paul, so.
I'm not
I don't know how much
necessarily, I'm not
information-
necessarily looking
Yeah,
for more
I
paper.
understand, but.
Maybe when we talk with Zach in January, we can, as far as an annual review, we can
Yeah.
talk about some of these other accounts rather than dealing with it every month, but, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say, Paul?
So as far as what we actually do, that we're responsible, the finance committee is responsible for the budgeting for, is the general fund budget. So it's all the departmental budgets that we do. The 3,000 that Tom mentioned is the education. So that would be the school department's budget comes underneath that. And then the 2 enterprise funds, sewer and water. So those are the ones that we also have in our monthly distribution. And we have both on the summary basis and on the detail basis, and the articles would be associated with those accounts.
Okay, and so that's the first 5 numbers of this column called account number.
Yes.
And then the next thing we see is a 5, which, I
Okay,
guess,
so the next one is your account type. So that, the next sequence of numbers are 4 digits. The first number you see will always be either a 4 or a 5. When you get your revenue report at the end of every month, those are all preceded with a 4. Those are all your revenue. When you get the monthly expense report, all those account numbers will be a 5, and that's mainly what we have for those numbering sequences, a 4 for revenue and a 5 for expenses. Now, you get your next 3 digits. Your next 3 digits is actually the department. Department 122 is the Select Board. If you go to page 2, real quick, I'll explain about the department account numbers that we use. We're obligated by Mass General laws to use specific account numbers for specific segments of our revenue stream. So all our general government accounts, your assessor's office, your select board, your accounting office, all the ones that begin with 1, we have to use a number between 100 and 199 for them. When we talk about public safety, police, fire, those are all 2. 210, 220, 240 is inspections. So those are all your 2s. 3, obviously, education. 4, public works. Sewer, 440. Water, 450. Cemetery, 491, just off the top of my head. 5, human services. 510, Board of Health. 541, Senior Center. 542, the Youth Center. Those are all our human service accounts. Culture and Recreation. 610, Library. 650, Parks. 690, Historical Commission. 691. Those are all from your Cultural and Recreation. It makes sense. Debt service, that's obviously that. Then intergovernmental is your 8 and 9. You want to elaborate on the 7, 8, and 9, Paul? Because Paul and Zach deal a lot with 7, 8, and 9 during their overview of the financial status and the.
Do you have any that are 8, right? It's just that?
Yeah, like 89210 is the town hall custodial account. Where what'll happen there is that, so a custodian will go work at the school event, okay? Well, we pay that custodian the very next week that they get paid. Or say a custodian works trying to think an event that the custodian would work at, upstairs.
Town meeting.
Town meeting for that matter, okay? That actually gets paid, it gets reimbursed to us. Those accounts will fall into arrears, and we get reimbursed through whatever department or agency that utilizes. Like when the community chorus goes upstairs, they have to pay for a custodian. Well, we may not get that check for a month. We're paying these custodians right away, the following week. So that's all a timing issue where you not necessarily may see them, but we see that those accounts are in arrears. We monitor that very closely to make sure that they're in arrears, but the funding will be coming in the very near future, and usually works out. There's times when the timing is just positive amounts in there.
So the takeaway for everybody, and I'm looking at pages 3 and 4 of what you just gave us, Tom, is that there's 3 digits generally for each department. So during budget season, if people say we're talking about Department 210, police, that's where this comes from. And when you're looking at the account number in that second segment after the 5, that's where you see the 3-digit number of the department you're dealing
And
with.
that's why I gave you that, to give you a printout of all the department numbers that we have. So there's your second set of 4. Now, the next set is 5. 4 numbers as well. That's actually the specific sub-account. So, like if you see, the one I used was 5894. 5894 happens to be an article, acquire parcel. So that tells me 5894 is a select board sponsored Article 27. Okay, 5420 supplies and office. So now, the government also regulates somewhat of these type of sub-account numbers that you use. Matter of fact, if you look across all the departments, you'll notice that the supplies account is 5420. The gasoline account, I think, is 5314. So we try to uniform it with all the departments. All the departments' supplies and office account is, like select board is 122-5420. Assessor, 141-5420. So we try to make it uniform for all departments, so all departments have the same somewhat sub-account number. Kind of follow that? All right, good. We're on a roll. All right, so now we go down to the next sequence is 2 digits. You'll always see either 90, those are your personal services, salaries, and wages. Your 91 is all your expenditures. So when you see the expense report, you're going to see those 2 digits are all going to say 91. And then all articles that are all set up are always 93. So anytime you see an account number and it's a 93, you know it's an article that belongs to somebody. Follow that? And there's only 3 options, 90, 91, and 92 that we use. Okay.
And there's a separate report that comes out called the status of town meeting articles, which I'm going to talk about for a couple of minutes once Tom is done, and you'll see if you go back and look at that report that it's all 93s on that report. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, now the next set of digits is 3 digits. And in this particular case, it's 012. That signifies the year, 2012. And one of the main reasons we utilize this is to say tax accounts. Well, now we're going to be getting into 2027 shortly, so I'm going to set up an account for taxes that's going to have an 027. Because why? Because we might get a payment today, but that was from 2025. So we have to apply that to the 025 account. Not because now we're going into 027, so that allows us to keep track of prior payments that are owed and prior payments that are paid off for prior years. So that signifies the year of that account, whether it was when it was set up and utilized from originally. Got that? And then the next account, it actually falls in line with the first digit of your department account. And in this particular case, it's a 5. So I do know that that's an expense account, okay? And again, from our point of view, 1 is our due to from, 2 is our liability, 3 is our fund asset, which you don't usually see them, and 4 is our revenue, and 5 is our expense accounts. So that usually falls in line with what you see at the beginning of the department number. And the last 4, I have to be honest, never used them, have no idea what they are, and they've never been relevant to, at least it's never come across my desk, so I'm not even going to go there. Don't even worry about the last 4.
So we shouldn't feel bad.
That's right. And really, it was just really a tutorial real quick to help, because I know you guys get reports, and I'm sure Sean and Nick say, geez, what are they, who are they, where are they from? Hopefully you can use this as you're looking at reports and familiarize yourself with them. After 8.5 years, I can recite most of them, but some of them I can't, so I still have to look through.
If you're involved in a subcommittee, you probably want to start with Tom's summary of the 3 digits. So that'll take you, so that's the second set of numbers after the 10,000, so that you at least know where you should be quickly going to.
And I have to say, our office is always open. There's one person on this board that takes advantage of that all the time, and that's Bill. He's in our office once or twice, probably once every 2 weeks, because he actually reads the reports and has questions, and they're all valid questions, and I love having him. He's fun to talk to. His kids are all into sports, and so anytime you have any questions, feel free to call or ask, and I'll get you all the information you need. You know exactly. Oh, here we go. Yeah.
I have one.
Right up the top.
Encumbrances.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm sorry I didn't, but I'll pass it around. You guys look at it as you talk. Because if you notice that report, okay, and you probably have a copy of the same type of report there now. What'll happen is,
Well, this one just has zeros, because this
Okay.
is the town meeting one, but
so the report was sending around. Take a look at the second last column to the right, where it says encumbrances. It might be the third last column, but the column before that says ending balance of all the accounts. Then the next column says encumbrances, and then the final column is the difference. So now, mainly you're going to find this on the personal services side, all your 90 accounts. Because what happens is this. When we start out the new year, July 1st, we plug in everybody's annual salaries, and it all tabulates into these reports, salaries and wages. 135, total salary and wages, say, is $1 million. Now, what happens here is that encumbrance says, okay, yes, you have 100,000 left in your salaries and wages. However, 99,000 are in the encumbrance, meaning what the system is giving you at the time you get the report is the balance. However, people's salaries have to be paid for the rest of the year, and that's taken into account what the remaining amount of the salaries you have to pay out. Okay? Now, that particular report, if you notice to the far right at the top, shows a negative balance. And that happened to be the town clerk's account. And the reason why I printed that out was this. Again, the system figures from day one what all the salaries are for the full year will be. There's your dollar value. As you pay salaries, that comes down. But in that encumbrance account tells you for the next 30 weeks, this is going to be your your encumbrance that you owe the employee's payroll, subject to no changes.
And that would hopefully be more or less the same as the
Yeah, absolutely.
remaining balance.
Now, here's what happens. All of a sudden, you've got the clerk's office, a person leaves there to go to another department, they bring in another person, maybe at a higher salary. That don't take into account that the person with the lower salary left. You know what I mean? So it's given the impression that it's in a negative balance, but it's truly not if you do an analysis. And every month when I print that report and I see a negative balance, I go back to look and see where there are changes to that department that made that seem like it's in the negative when it really isn't, okay? I tell Zach, let's get rid of that encumbrance because it screws everybody out. But if I do that, then I don't have the visibility to where the balances are and these true balances are. So that report I just sent out, it shows the encumbrance amount with a negative ending balance. It might be right, and if it is right, that's where we come to you in May. Or that's where we go and do the transfers from expenses to revenue, as long as they're within the departments. That's when we do our annual transfer of the article transfer, the last one. So if you have a question, and Bill does, he'll come and I try to explain it to him, and I think we generally realize
You're very
the reasons for
thorough.
it. All right.
You do a good job.
All right, thanks. How about you,
I
Dave?
have one more. though.
You do a great job.
Question?
I do have a question, though.
Still has one, I think.
What's that?
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Bill. Yeah.
School department,
Yeah.
is there a separate reporting on their encumbrances?
Yes, so here's what they have to do. So do we know what an encumbrance is as far as on the expense side? Say we get to June 21st, and the department thinks that they have a bill coming in that, a perfect example is a vehicle. Police order a vehicle in May, they're not going to get it till July. All right, but they want to pay with it with prior year funds.
Right.
Okay? So what we do is say, okay, show us the quote, show us that it's in the works and what the price is going to be, and we take the money from FY '25, we'll say, bring it into FY '26, and that's what we call encumbrances from that point of view. Similar, a little different than on the wages side. This is on the expense side. So when that bill comes in, we'll supplement the new budget with that amount for the bill that's coming in the following year. Now, with the school, they give us, when I tell you, they have to create a PO. We don't do POs here. They have to create a PO for a bill.
Which is a purchase order, just in case.
Okay?
Just make sure.
And again, it might not come in till after July 1st.
So many things.
So they report to us, they give us a whole listing of every single PO that they've generated for encumbrances that are going to be paid after July 1st. And every time we pay a bill, they have to pay it out of a certain account. We call it 30,008, 3008. Every single bill that they pay that is prior to July 1st, they have to enter, because they enter their own bills up there for us. And there's hundreds of them, hundreds. And so all their encumbrances, they pay out of that specific account. And it may not be paid all at once. So we have to, through the spreadsheets, but okay, they paid $30, $40, $1,000 until it zeroes out. So we monitor their expenses, because why? We don't want them to sneak in an old bill from prior year and put it in this year. It's against the law, actually. We'll get, and auditing catches all this. Somehow, some way, auditing always knows which accounts, which transactions, and, we do pretty good with it, so.
David?
Tom, I think that's awesome what you just explained with the encumbrances, and the reason being is because I think the importance of it is unknown. Just because I think it happened to a school committee at another district where they were doing exactly that. They were spending they were crossing over fiscal years, and then they eventually ran out of cash, and then they had to do this huge layoff, and I think it made the local news, and I think that was the reasoning behind why they did it. So, thank you for talking about the importance of the encumbrances.
I've only been here 8.5 years. Zach's been here 14 to 15. These are all policies and procedures that he put in place when he got here. Okay, so we can take credit for processing, but as far as
We had that when they were paying those encumbrances out of school choice.
Yeah.
And not out of the 8002 account. And all of a sudden, there's a couple $100,000 that falls to the general fund, and there was a shock. So we've run into it.
Now, let me give you another caveat.
Before we do that, Bob had a question.
Yeah, I just a shout out to you, Tom, because I want to acknowledge the work that you have done for me personally. I don't have the opportunity to get in the office, but I call you many times and ask for something in Excel format. Because what I used to do when I met with the department heads to go over their budget, I would give an abbreviated fashion of the long report, and it's either transcribe all of that or call Tom and get an Excel, which you all know allows you to manipulate the numbers and present them in any fashion you want. So thank you for that. But my question is, how difficult would it be, or how expensive would it be to put that report on a website or our site in Excel format?
Not a problem at all.
Really?
Really. All it is getting your source material off the system we have,
Yeah.
export to Excel, and do all the manipulations to get it to what you want to read. That's all. Takes a few minutes, but, you know.
To me, it's, number one, anytime you transcribe anything manually, it's prone to
I
error.
just need to know what you're looking for.
I understand that, and you've
And I
been great.
can
You've been great. That's
manipulate,
why I
yeah.
want to acknowledge
You're
that,
welcome.
Tom.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
to me, it's a lot easier to get in an Excel format than it is in,
So I want to give you one more caveat to everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everything I explained. Everything I talked about, encumbrances and everything, and the dates from June 30th of FY '25 to July 1st of FY '26 is all your general fund activities. Articles. Bill asked me about an article 3 years old. Articles aren't date restricted. So the school or any department could submit a bill to me that's dated we're into the new fiscal, last April, because it's a special account. It's not date restricted like we are with general funds. Gift accounts, the 2.6, the 2.5s. Now your 2.5s, we get an award letter, a grant. That might be restricted to the point where it says, you have to expend this money by December 31st of '25, okay? When they paid it prior to that, there's no restriction. So you may see articles that are a couple of years old, and yet before the end of before every annual town meeting, I reach out to all the departments and say, these are your articles. Which projects are done, which ones can be closed. Police, fire chief buys a new car for $80,000. There's $380 left. Okay, theoretically, you would think that could be closed out. Well, maybe not, because he might be putting reflective mirrors on or something. So no matter what the dollar value is, I'll reach out to all the department heads before our town meeting and put all that together.
I'm glad you raised that, because that was actually the last item on the agenda, and I'm looking at the October 31. I realized that one just recently came out for November.
Yes.
And I don't want to have people dealing with subcommittees duplicating what you're already doing, Tom, but as I was looking through this, so I'm in 122, which is Town Hall, right? And here's one example, elevator upgrades, and this was from the October 22 town meeting. So this is now more than 3 years. And the allocation was $38,000, and it says balance $33,000. Now, I would think that if something is more than 3 years since it was passed, they would have done whatever it is they're going to do.
And I'm not deflecting anything in any other way. That I go to Rick every year, and if he was sitting here, we talk about it. I go to him every year, and yes, that's one, but I don't think it's still running exactly 100%, so they don't want to close it out in case they need the money, because then they got to go back to town meeting to replenish it or set
Well,
up
I
a new
mean,
one. But-
I didn't mean to pick on a particular item.
No, but in general, that's the case.
But I guess my question is, should people that are interfacing with subcommittees be talking to
Absolutely.
the department reps?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
Bill has looked into some of this stuff with the schools, and if I read your email correctly, Bill, it sounds like upwards of $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 will be coming back into the general fund.
In all probability, yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact,
So this is real money.
2 weeks ago, Bill and I went up and met with Wen and Craig Consigli to kind of like, I wanted them to meet Bill mainly, because anything Bill can do will help all of us. You know, so we had a good meeting, and I think that I think he got a lot done, and I think Bill is much more, he will be prepared and more comfortable when he goes to meet with them.
Yeah.
But
So
when any subcommittees are meeting, any material you need, call me up. I can send you all a report on just the articles for your subcommittee. And you need anything you need, it's all manipulable, and I can get it to you well before your meeting takes place.
So I just suggest to everybody, sometime in the next, month or two, take a look at these town meeting articles and anything that relates to your department. I think it's, these are fair questions for the department heads, particularly something that's more than a couple of years old, and there may be a particular reason why it's...
I would love to have you get them to close them out, too, and all that money goes right back to the general fund.
Yep.
Andy, if I could just chip in on the green on that one.
Oh, sure.
I think at the last town meeting, Tom, we appropriated X amount of dollars as a contingency for possible litigation pertaining to ADA.
$100,000.
Will that show up on there as an article?
Yes.
Under what department?
Probably, it will be either legal, 151,
Okay.
or select board, 122.
You see something here called ADA litigation?
Is it in
There
there?
you go.
Select board, second from the bottom.
ADA
There you go.
litigation under Department 122.
And as that gets expended,
You'll see it.
you'll see it every month on the town meeting articles.
Right.
If any money's been expended off that.
Right.
Between that time frame.
I think the biggest thing is, years ago, we had problems that Department A got a $100 article, came in at $80, and they were spending the other 20, not on the,
Absolutely not. Never happened with us. I'll tell you right now.
That really doesn't even.
Never happened with us.
no, used to.
That's illegal.
I haven't-
Used to.
I haven't heard it happening
Many
at
years
all.
it hasn't.
That's illegal, number one. It won't happen. Auditing will catch it.
Well, no, I'm glad,
They don't want them on
because
the
I haven't
management
heard
report.
anything
Yeah,
for years.
Yeah, no, yeah. And you know what? I got to give kudos to the department heads. They're all pretty well, been around a long time. They understand. They're in and out of our office all the time. Jimmy Asm, I got to give him credit. He's in there almost every other day, making sure that he's within the funding, especially, so the future, so the past doesn't come back to the future, you know what I mean? But overall, they're all pretty good. I had a great working relationship with all the departments.
David.
So, yes.
Are we getting explanations why all this money's coming back from the school? I mean, if it is coming back,
Well,
actually.
I don't want to start going too much into substance.
Okay.
To the extent, we can have a separate meeting
On why?
on, I've learned over the years, sometimes we get in a lot of substance and someone raises open meeting law, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you want to just give
No, that's fine. That's fine. We can do
back
it
and
differently.
forth, if you wanted to summarize what you've learned, I think that's fair. Did you want to do that, Bill?
Well, essentially, there were a half a dozen articles, 3 of which they told us were done, that they've ceased spending against it, the work was completed, and the articles could be closed, knowing that they're not closed until just before the next town meeting.
One was a
And that's correct.
And
Now,
that-
they may tell you it's closed. They still have the ability to spend against it up until we close it out prior to the May town meeting. However, as you stated earlier, it has to be for whatever project they were working on.
Right. That was about 330,000.
Yeah, I think that came in way under what the actual budget was.
Does that have to be an article to close the prior? Do you have to
Yes.
need- do you
Yeah.
need
Oh, yeah.
you need an article
Yeah,
to
we want
close
to
out?
That's
So
a
they
long
can't turn the
article.
money back until they've closed out the article?
That's correct.
It was a boiler, wasn't it a big chunk of that?
Yeah,
Wasn't
yeah.
it?
I think
That was
there
part
some
of it,
boiler.
right.
A boiler, yeah.
We can't
That's
talk-
a
we can't-
long
we'll talk
article.
about that next meeting.
At the end of May town meeting, where we have the 2 articles, one's
Yeah.
to shift money inside.
Right.
And one is Brownie's list of closed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because even, I mean, it was always a joke when we had the one for $8.38.
Yeah, yeah.
But it needed town meeting to vote on rescinding the rest of it.
In the 8 years, 8.5, the biggest one was those modular classrooms at Brookside.
Yeah, that was a
It
big
came in at
payback.
4, it ended up 2.
Yeah, that was a big, I
Maybe,
remember that.
maybe after every person has spoken to department heads and whatnot in the spring, we can have a big party and we can go through all the savings for the
I'm in.
various town meeting articles.
Thank
Tom,
you.
there's no threshold, there's no like time frame, like there's nothing that we can, like there's an 80-cent one for fire, but there's no threshold that would say after 6 years.
Actually, those are the ones that will be cleaned out.
But for the
We'll
larger,
just-
the larger ones, there's no threshold on time or dollar amount?
No, unless it was, see, many of these projects that we do, when I see the contract, there's a completion date.
Yeah.
So usually for those project-type articles, those will close out upon completion. Matter of fact, they just had a big walkthrough today of companies in here, the article for painting the interior town hall. They're getting ready. Once they make the appointment, then they'll start painting. And they'll want to get paid, as they must have milestones, and they'll pay. But ultimately, that could be reasonably understood that that would close out when the project's over. Now we have, I mean, there are Central Street, we didn't know when that was going to close.
Right.
As a matter of fact, it's still open because there's still finishing touches that need to be done. So I guess it depends on the project. And again, you see some small balances there that are maybe a few $1,000 that are 3 or 4 years old. The department said absolutely not. I still may need it for this. So we kind of like give them that, thresh. There's no really. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Just one more thought.
Yeah.
I guess, this is really good. It's just, I wonder, there's probably a list of, we probably should go through a list of articles that are open, that are based on what-ifs rather than concrete contracts. Kind of like the ADA litigation article is a what-if. Like, that's just.
I'll give you a what-if.
That's just securing ourselves for
It
maybe.
might cost you zero, it might cost you
litigation.
another 100, who knows?
We don't know if it's going to happen or not.
That's right. And when they do, when Brian will let us know. If ultimately there's going to be no litigation, we'll close it right out.
Isn't there an article for the youth center too? For the is there an article for that as well? For litigation, is there an article for litigation on that one as well?
Yeah.
So things like that we probably should look
Well,
at.
the
just to
thing
see what
that
we-
helps is when he gives the full list of what's open,
Right.
because it's got the date. This was at town meeting 1802, and you can say, well, it's a little long in the tooth.
Youth Center is you, isn't it?
18.
I have to look at the assignment log because is it me?
But going through that list of what's still left open
What's
is,
that?
to me, the biggest hint. Because you can look back and say when something's 4 or 5 years old,
Yeah, we just.
And all these major projects going on, just ask, and I can send you. What I do is, I'll get a report. It might be the first payment. Say it's a $2 million project, the first payment comes in. I have a whole separate spreadsheet online of every single project we have, what's left, what's been used, what's the retainage, the call orders, when they go to change orders, I have all that. So any project you have a question on, you let me know, and I can send you an Excel outline on where it is at that point in time. Michael, yeah?
Michael has a question.
Excuse me, Andy, you had asked, I'm sorry, I have a cold. You had asked a while back about having the subcommittees check with their department heads about open articles.
Yes.
And I don't know if you wanted reports on those or what.
Well, maybe we can, I'll give people a little more time. We can deal with it in January. Is that okay? Or is there something,
Yeah,
or
fine.
is there something you want to tell us about?
No, I have a library report, but I can wait till January for that.
Mike, anything you need on the library, let me know. They only have a couple of small projects.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I think that Cogswell sprinkler, that's one of the big ones, and I think that's starting to wind down. But
Yeah, you've got about 110,000 coming back from that one.
there you go.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. When I ask people to look at this, I'm kind of thinking like, between now and, February, March. I didn't necessarily want it all for this meeting, although I do appreciate people jumping on this because I think there is an opportunity to get some meaningful money back into the general fund. Does anybody else have any questions for this? Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Tom.
Tom, do you want this or some paper?
Yes. Well, no, I'm all set.
Okay.
You can use it.
I don't have anything else on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn from David,
Second.
second from Bobby. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Bob? Yes.
Yes.
Warren?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes?
Nick?
Yes.
Okay, next meeting is January 14th. Have a good holiday, everybody. Thank you. Thanks.